Hello, my name is Eduardo and today I am here with a new tutorial. Well, the tutorial, it is a pretty interesting tutorial, I guess, and basically this is the idea. If you go here to screen, in your screen number 1, in your project, in any project you have, okay, you will see several options for the screen. The one that we are going to work today, it is this one called responsive. Okay, so by default we have fixed. Okay, so App Inventor is set to fix. Okay, and nothing seems to happen. Okay, and you say, well, this is just the same thing. Okay, but we are going to use responsive today, because responsive, basically the idea is that the App Inventor will try to respond, okay, based on the size of the device that you are displaying your app. Okay, so for example, I have a tutorial about the Space Invader stuff. Okay, and in my cell phone looks really good, but then I tried to test this in my son's tablet. Okay, and the results were not very good, especially for the canvas. Okay, why? Because the first thing that I want to tell you is this: when we work with fix, it's okay to establish everything based in pixels. Okay, so for example, you can say that your sprite will be set to 10 pixels times 12 pixels or something like that. We have done this in the previous tutorials for Chopper and for I guess Space Invaders, and also for I guess that's the last one for the race game. Okay, so but today we're going to use this to avoid mistakes with big screens. Okay, so we're going to use responsive design. When you use responsive, you are not going to use pixels, you have to use percent. Okay, you can use the percent in here or in the blocks. I recommend that when you can, do it in the designer, but there are some elements that cannot be resized based in the percent, okay, using the designer. For example, the canvas, yes, you can resize it 47%, 85%, but the sprites, okay, you don't have the option for that. If you click on the sprite, you just have pixels, and that's a problem, because if you set something to percent and then something with pixels will be really small, and percent, if you have the big device, okay, it will be like totally a mess, okay, in the design of your app. So the idea for today is I'm going to show you how to use responsive, okay, responsive screen to have a very nice or a good looking app in most of the devices. Okay, so tablets, cell phones, and that's it. Well, the first idea is we need to work with Scape. Okay, Scape is a free program, okay, similar to Illustrator, okay, and I really like it. So now the first thing is this: I usually design first what I want to make in App Inventor. So, and I design my app this way. So now, what are the sizes that I am using? If you don't want to have problems with, sometimes, probably you have noticed that sometimes we import graphics into App Inventor and they look like distorted or blurry or something like that. Well, so to avoid that, I recommend you create in Inkscape your background. Your background can be like a rectangle. If you are going to use it here for landscape or portrait, you have to set these values. Okay, for this one, the width it is 512 and the height will be 1024. Sorry. Oh, sorry, it's because it is here. Remove the this lock, and this is, as I told you, 512. So now with these values, okay, you won't have any problems, okay, about blurry images. Now for this one we do the opposite, so this is 1024 and this is 512, and that's it. And then you start like designing. For example, I am using here the layers, and then I just can lock this layer just to avoid moving this layer, and then I just drag elements in here. Anyway, so that's the idea. Okay, so well, after you create this, you can start like adding your elements and make them look the way you want. Okay, for example, I was thinking about this is the canvas, this is the moon sprite, this is the other sprite, the player sprite, and this is a platform, and this is nothing. Okay, and this is my control, 2 buttons or something like that. Okay, and then you have that. Okay, so now we need to place everything to make it look like similar to this. So for example, I have this graphic. So the first thing is this: you have to export from Inkscape, okay, all your graphics. So for example, I have this graphic, and if you check, the values are 512 times 178. You can say, yes, you know, I'm going to export this because it is like that. This is the way I want it. Guys, I don't recommend that. Okay, so the first thing that I recommend is that you use, I have commented this in other videos, you go to Wikipedia or to Google and you just find for power of 2, and then you check. Okay, these are the values that are recommendable to use, okay, when you are like exporting your images, just for exporting your images. Okay, for example, let's go to Inkscape, and I say in Inkscape, you know what, I have this image, so I just duplicate everything and check my image. It is 512, that's perfect, but the other value, it is not like that. Okay, it is not power of 2. So in order to avoid blurry graphics, I will go for something similar to this value. So the closest value, if we have 178, so could be 256. If we set it to 256, it looks like distorted, yes, but we're gonna fix that in App Inventor. Okay, so don't worry for that, but please do it like that, and then you just go, you just make sure you have power of 2 values here, 512 times 256, and then you export. Okay, for example, this player, I have my player, and then for example, in this case here it looks like quite small. Okay, I recommend you export things that, I don't know, if you want, so if you are planning to play in tablet, okay, probably something like this, 256 times 128, it's like very acceptable and not very distorted, okay, or not very bad quality for the graphics, and not very I mean big. Okay, you are not going to have a big file, so I'm using these values. Check values from this table. Okay, and I did the same for all of them, 256 times 256, 128, and this was check the value, it is not okay in this case, so we need to set it. Okay, so we can set it to, in this case is 128, oh sorry, it's the other one, this one, 128 times, and you have this value in here. Probably you can set it to something like 1024 or less, okay, because it's going to be for the canvas. Okay, so probably 512, it's okay, 512. So, and in this case we don't have any graphics, so the distortion, it won't be like very noticeable. Okay, now after you export all of these images, okay, using power of 2 values, okay, also the moon, I did it, 128 times 128, you have to import this into App Inventor. So that's the next step. So we have to import everything. So I imported the background, and then the button, the top, the moon, and the platform. Okay, so now I will show you something. Okay, so if you check here, I did it, and I have something like a preview, and I started like working with this thing just to test, but we are gonna start again just to show you the process. We're going to create a new screen just to work with this file. So we analyze, and we have here an image. Okay, so the image is at the top. So we're going to drag an image. The screen has to be, in this case, in screen number 2, you cannot set the part of the responsive. Everything has to be set in screen number 1. Now the screen, you just can center, align horizontally and top, center and top. Now this is the image, the background. So I'm going to set this to the background, and for the image, not for the background, sorry, this is the image for the screen, sorry, my mistake, because this is just the blue area. Okay, so I just exported this image from here. If you check, this image I exported, and it's like that. Okay, using those values. Now I went here, and the image, as I told you, now we are going to use the image, the top image. Now in App Inventor it looks like that, not very accurate, so we need to set the percentage. Okay, but then we continue with more things. We need canvas, so we go for canvas, drawing an animation. We draw a canvas, we change the color to something dark. We're going to use also the image from Scape, so probably I'm going to use this one, and now we're just going to use a color. Okay, so now then we have an image sprite, 2 image sprites, one for the moon and one for this boy, and finally we have 2 buttons. Okay, so we're going to drag 2 buttons, button number 1 and button number 2, but we're going to drag them in an horizontal arrangement because they are at the same level. So we drag button 1, button 2, and we just fill parent the horizontal arrangement in the width. That's it, and we keep it left. Okay, so we are almost done. We just remove the text from the buttons, and we assign the images to them. The first image, it is a button, control, it is control. The second one, it is just this button, or button in Spanish. That's it. We have the button, we have the canvas, and everything looks terrible. Okay, for the sprite 1, we'll set this to sprite. Okay, we're going to make sure we exported the sprite. I selected, I guess I didn't export this one. Export, replace, yes, because I changed the size of the sprite, that's why. Upload the file again, and then you just select the sprite, and that's it, you replace. And for the image sprite, we are going to, for number 2, we are going to drag the moon. That's it. Okay, so now we are going to resize everything. So as long as you can, try to resize everything here in the designer, but things like sprites, well, we have to resize them in the using the blocks in the screen initialize. Okay, so now let's start with the first thing, that is the image. The image we have to check now. Now we are not interested in power of 2 values, not anymore, so we just can skip that part now, because Now we want to check now pixels values. Okay, so the first pixel value that we have, it is this one. Okay, so we are going to copy this value, that is 512 times 178. So it is 512 times 178. That's for this image. Okay, so I'm going to take this value and I'm going to calculate the what is the equivalent for this thing in pixels, in percent. Okay, so just to let you know something, if we have something that it's 512 pixels, why? Yes, that means that it's using the 100% of the screen. Now, second, if we have something that it's 1024, that means that is using the 100% of the height of the screen. We're talking about the screen right now, not the canvas, okay? So basically that is the idea. So we're going to calculate. To calculate the percentage, basically we are going to do this. For example, imagine that we have for this image that is for the height is 178. So we're going to calculate this, just dividing this value. Okay, we're going to divide this value and we're going to divide it by the size of the height of the screen, and then to get the percent we have the value over there. Okay, so let's check it in App Inventor. So check this value, my pixel values divided by 1024. This is for the height, and for the width it is my pixel value divided by 512. So I made some procedures just to help us to calculate these things. Okay, and I inserted them in my backpack. No, I didn't insert them in my backpack. So I'm going to put them, we're going to use first these two. We go to screen number 2, and then we have this. So the first thing that we have is that the image, okay, it is using 512, that is 100%. So in this case we can set it just to fill parent, no problem. Okay, but the height, there is a problem with the height. Okay, so the height, we need to calculate the height. It was this value that is 178 pixels. So we are going to use here this procedure that I told you. We go here to the backpack and we're going to drag these two frames. One is for the width and one is for the height. Oops, we got a mistake, an error over there. So let's drag this thing. Now we are going to change this to screen 2, screen 2. That's it. Okay, so we are going to do that thing. Okay, so to get the percentage, okay, we just can duplicate this right now. And we can check and remove this. For example, my value in pixels divided by this, and we do those this block, and you have 0.17. If we multiply this times 100, we see that this is the, oh sorry, it's the 17%. Okay, so that means that this is the percent of the height. So we go here and we set this to the 70%, this image, okay, for the height, 17%, no pixels, percent. Then we look in App Inventor, and if you check in images, we have this because of the proportion, but if we just use this option that it has scale picture to fit, you won't have any problem, and it will look almost the same like in here with no distortion in the graphics. Okay, now what's next? So the next part, if you check here the original design, we have here like an space, okay? So we are going to do something with this space. So for the space, we are going to go here and we are going to check this part. And I'm going to show you now how to do this with blocks, that it's pretty similar. So we check the size of this rectangle that we just created. This is like a dummy file, and it will tell us, it will help us for the position and also for the size. So now we have to insert here a component that it uses this space 37.727. So we go here and we need to drag a dummy, something to use this space, and it will be an empty image. Okay, so you can rename it to dummy, and that's it. And then you have to just set the height, but the height, it has to be set in pixels. It is set in pixels, so you need to transform this to percentage. So again, check, we have height 37 times this. So, and we're going to make it now with blocks. We're going to use here initialize, and we're going to use these two blocks, okay, one of these ones. So we're going to use for the height, so we're going to drag here, and we're going to set, when we initialize the screen, the dummy, this first dummy, we're going to change its height, okay. Oh, sorry, this is not the one. Procedure, and we're going to use height. And then you will just insert the pixel value. So the pixel value, it will be this one. We paste it. 37. Okay, so for the height. So now we check this in App Inventor. We do this thing, and we have this spacing here. Check, and it's quite the same as in the original design. It looks the same. Okay, so that's the space. Now we need canvas. Okay, the canvas, okay, it is like these values, 437 times 48, 482, so 483 almost. So let's do it. Let's go here. Let me drag here, the values are in here. We're going to use this. We go to the designer, and now we're going to make the dummy, the canvas in the designer, just the canvas, okay, not the sprites, because the sprites are not possible. So we have the value for this. We have that is 437. This is for the width. So 437, we're going to use this thing. We are going to duplicate this one, and we are going to use for the width, it's 512, as I told you at the beginning. So 437. So we do the procedure, and it is 85%. So we are going to set this to the 85% for the width. Percent, no pixels. Then we go here, and it looks almost the same. And then we go again to the blocks, and we are going to calculate the other one. So that is the height. So we use it in this space, and we are going to change to 483. So we do this, and it's 17%. So we just set this to 17% in the designer, canvas to 17%. So you have the 17%, and of course at the height 17%, sorry, it is not 17%, so you have to run this thing. It is 47, is because it was like thinking 47%, sorry, that's okay, and it will push everything and it looks quite the same for the sprite and for the moon. Then we continue. Okay, so right now let's focus on this and the control and the button. Okay, so these are both are the same. So now how to know the size of them? Well, basically we are going to use this because this is the bigger element, and the other one it will be here in the horizontal arrangement. So the height is this one, Control C. We're going to duplicate this. We're going to change the height of this, and we're going to calculate it here using App Inventor. 209. We wait. We just do it again and wait a little bit. Okay, we wait. 20%, 20.45, so 20% is the height. Then we check in here and that's okay, that looks quite good. But now we need to resize the control. The control, as we check, it is 20%. And for the width, if we check the width, it is the same. We are going to use the same value for the width, but in the different calculator. So we do it and we just wait for this result to pop up. You can use your calculator. Sometimes it gets slow. App Inventor. Main companion. Oh yeah, that's why. We have an error with Crazy Panion. So we are going to connect again. Reset the connection and we're going to connect. Okay, so well, I will continue in a minute. Well, I just did that thing. Okay, so for this button it was like 20 and 40%, and for this button it was 11 and 22%, as you can check in here. So 11%, 22%. Now the size looks okay, similar to the one that we just planned, but they are not like placed properly. Okay, so here we need first a dummy, okay, to push the buttons down. So, and to do that we are going to add another empty image, and it's quite the same as the other one that we did. Okay, so I guess we can use the same value. So we're going to duplicate this one and we're going to add a second dummy. Okay, so we go here and add second image here, and we are going to rename it and call it dummy2, and we are going to set the height of this dummy2 to the same as the other one, because if we check it is like 37. So now if we check in App Inventor, we just do it and looks okay. Just check this kind of area or empty area, looks okay. Now we need to place the control. If you check here, we have another space, so we are going to, we are going to push to the right this kind of control, and we have here, so we need to check the width, that it's 29, that it says that is 30. Okay, so let's use 30 for this thing, and it will be another dummy, we go to the blocks, and then we're going to drag another dummy here next to this one, and now we're going to modify the width. Okay, so we're going to rename it to dummy, dummy 3, and then we're going to check here, and we're going to use the blocks again. We're going to set dummy 3 to what was the value? 30. We just check this thing and we do this thing. But it's not the height, sorry. It is the width. Okay. That's it. And that's the way you do it. Now we do the same for this one. We just try to check here. I guess that's okay. And we have now for the width 97, 98. So we drag another dummy in between, and for the width we're going to change that, but let's call it dummy 4, and we're going to set it to 40, right? 98 90. Oops, I moved this one. Control C. So we're going to put this 98, and for the other one I forgot. It was like 28, remember. So we just go here to 4 and dummy width. There is a problem in here, so that probably I didn't notice before. It's that when you are calculating width, we have to change this to width and then this to width. So watch out with those little errors. So let's do that. Do it and do it. That's it. If you check the position, almost here, and in Scape it was almost here. So super duper. So we place everything in here. If we check, these things look really similar. If I reduce this, really similar, but now you check, hey, what happened with the buttons? Well, we need to center the horizontal arrangement, so we just set it to align vertically, center, then we go here, and then we just check over there. So it looks quite the same. Okay, maybe you say, hey, the empty space, that it's not looking good. Don't worry for that, believe me. Okay, so it will look the same in your app. So we have the spaces, we have, now we need to check what it's missing now. We are missing the canvas section. Okay, so for the canvas, we have the canvas 47 and 85%. Okay, this 85%, it was because we calculate the size of the canvas, it was 400. Let me check this because I think it's quite big. No, that's okay. We paste this thing, we hide this thing, and we do this thing, and we have 47%. So that's why. Check 47% high with 85. Yes, that's okay. it looks okay. So now what's next? Well, what's next? The next thing it is to check these sprites that are inside the canvas. Now we're going to use the canvas now. Okay, we're going to forget a little bit about the screen, and we're going to resize everything based in the canvas. To do that, okay, we are going to use similar procedures, okay, to resize the sprites. So we are going to unpack these things. We remove this slot and we unpack the one for the height, and we are going to adapt them for working with a canvas. So I guess we have that thing in here, then we have the value. It got crazy. Oh yeah. So now we just remove this, and now the new height for this, it will be the pixels height of the canvas. So we touch the canvas and we check here that it is 482. So we copy and we set it in here for the new height. Okay, so now for the width of the canvas, we go to Inkscape again and we check the width. We copy, Ctrl C, and then we paste this value in here. That's it. Now we are going to multiply these values, okay, by 100 it can be. If we are going to check it, now we are going to use these values. We are going to use now times, this is going to get us the percentage, and now to get the percentage of the canvas we need the canvas values. So here for width we duplicate this one, and this is for the height. Okay, so now these new procedures will help us calculate canvas. So you can say here that this is pixel to percent and canvas and width canvas. That's it. Now let's go here and let's resize the first image sprite. To resize the image sprite, we're going to use first blocks, width and the height. Now there is something here that you can use, because we're using power of two values. Okay, so we have this one that it's 128 and 256, so this is 2 times the width. Okay, so that's very good. So just don't change the proportion of the aspect ratio of this thing. So now, so the height, it is 2 times the width. Okay, so that's the idea. So for example, we have here, and the size for this guy in here for the height, it's Ctrl C, and we're going to use that. We are going to calculate the procedure for the canvas height. We set it in here, we just drag it here to the top, and we are going to paste this value in here. Then we go here and we just do the procedure. If you check, it looks now the size, but now you need to check the width. If you remember, the width, the height is 2 times, so we are going to divide this value that we just got, okay, the height of the image sprite, number 1, and we're going to divide this value, height, divided by 2, and we're going to do this, and it looks okay. So now of course we need to place this player. Okay, but first let's resize the moon. The moon, it is a square, So when you have something like a square, you just have to calculate one of them, width or height. So let's see the size of the moon, and it says that it is this value. Control C. So we are going to use this for the moon, image sprite 2. We paste the value, and that's it. So if we go here to see, we do it, and it looks okay. Now we need to check the height. We duplicate this one for the sprite 2, and the width. So we know that a square, it has the same size, the same height and same width, so we just call this width. Okay, so we are going to use here the width of the image sprite number 2. So, and that's it. We just set it, do it. Oh, sorry, my mistake. We calculate the height. It is the height that we are going to use here. That's it. Now it is time to place them. To place them, we're going to use this dummy frame again, and we're going to use just the canvas. Okay, to know the position of something, first, to check the position in X, we are going to drag it to the edge of the canvas, and then we're going to drag it until we get to the graphic. Then we check this, okay, and check the sizing, the width. It is 260. We copy this just for the width, and this is going to help us with the X position. So we go here, and now we are going to duplicate one of these, and we're going to change this to X. And for X, to calculate X, we use the same procedure for canvas for the width. And we are going to use this value that we just copy, and we paste it in here. Now if we check here, we just do it, and that's okay for the moon, but I want to move the moon. Sorry, it was image sprite 1. So we do it, and now it looks okay. Now for the moon, it is also the same thing. So now let's check the position in X for the moon. So we just drag this thing, we just can move this, and we just are interested, remember, in the W. So probably in here 63, it is the width of the dummy file. So we paste it, and we do this one. So let me show you this. Sorry, and that's it. If you check now, it looks really similar. Okay. Oh, sorry. Nothing. I am working. Sorry. So now, then we need to place the pixel. Okay. So basing the height again. Now for the height, we are going to go here to the top, and we are going to drag this dummy file until we get to the limit of his head. Then we just check the size from the top of the canvas, or the edge of the canvas, to the head, and then we just check that the height it is 272. We just go here, and for the height we're going to use for the Y, the Y position, we're going to use this Y position for the image sprite 1, that is the boy, and we're going to use the procedure for the height. We're going to use this value that we just copy, and we just paste it. We go and run, and check. Wonderful. of course I didn't uploaded this kind of platform yet. And then you have that. We are missing just the moon. The moon is in position in Y. I guess it's quite the same, but you can make it here. So now we just check the limits of from the edge, from the top to the top of the canvas to the top of the moon, and this is 63. So we go here, we duplicate this one, and this is 2. We just paste the value and we just do it. Yeah, quite the same, but it has the same aspect as in the other one. Yeah, okay, we're missing maybe the platform that I didn't add it. So we're going to add here a platform. So we go for drawing an animation, and we're going to add the third sprite. The third sprite will be the picture platform, and we need to check the size of this platform and the position. So we're going to use for the height of the sprite, we're going to calculate the height. I will tell you why. So here, if you check the height of this platform, it is 56. So we just duplicate this one. Yes, I show you 3, and we just use 56. Then we go here, we do it, and that's okay. So now, what's next? Well, now after we do this, if you check this thing, it is using all the space in the canvas, so that means that we can set it to fill parent, so it's not necessary to calculate. So we go here and we go to image spread width fill parent, that it will use all the space in this. Now it is not looking okay because we are not loading this procedure in the, so let's call it resizing, and we're going to insert this in screen initialize, and we're going to drag all of these guys too. So we go for resizing, and we're going to refresh the screen, and let's see what happens. Okay, now we are missing just the Y position for this platform, but that's very easy because the platform, we know that the canvas, it is like 400 and something. Okay, so if we set the platform Y to the size of the canvas, it will move everything to the bottom. Canvas height, we just do it, and that's it. It is at the bottom, and then it's time to compare. So check, it looks almost the same. So we have these elements, and the best of all, it is that you can build this app and test it in, or try it in your tablet or your cell phone, and it will look the same. Okay, so basically that is the good thing about this kind of using this responsive setting for the screen. Okay, so that's the important stuff about that. So and I hope you are like trying to make these things like that. So I just want to check if I have all my graphics. Remember, everything has to be done using the power of 2. Okay, and then don't worry for the size in pixels. Okay, but when you export everything in power of 2. Okay, so when we work with responsive screens, you have to set everything in %. Okay, so that's not difficult using the designer sometimes, because I try to make it very accurate, but sometimes you can say, no, this is just like the 30%, this is the 40% or something. Okay, so here, but it is necessary to check for canvas. When you work with canvas, you don't have the option to set everything in pixels. If you set it to pixels, okay, you will have different results in cell phone and different results in tablet. Okay, so watch out with that. So I recommend that thing. Okay, and remember, responsive, it is just in screen 1 you set this value. Okay, so what else? Well, I guess we are almost like done with this. So we have this thing, we have this space, and we are ready to build the app. Okay, so my name is Eduardo. Okay, so, and I hope you understood this tutorial, that is basically something about designing and something about it is not only App Inventor, but with these things, believe me, you will save a lot of time and you will have excellent results with your apps. So, and also, I don't know, they will look very good in your apps. Okay, and you will have no problem when you are using your projects in tablets and using your projects in cell phones. Okay, and this kind of mobile devices. Okay, well, any questions, problems, please just let me know them. Okay, just remember, guys, okay, set the responsive, try it, and don't forget the power of 2, please. It is very important. In that case, you will have very nice graphics. Okay, that's it. And maybe I will add at the end of this video something to compare the tablet version with the cell phone version. Well, my name is Eduardo. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching this video. Well, this is just the final part. This is the video that I just recorded with the tablet, that it's 10 inches tablet, so it's a big tablet. So you check the proportion. This is the original file that we designed in Inkscape, and this is my screen, the screen of my cell phone, that it's 5 inches. Okay, so if you check, they look quite the same. Okay, so if you here we have this kind of space, looks almost the same. So I have to remove, before I publish or build the app, I have to remove the top, okay, the bar. So it is now like in full screen. So, and everything looks very similar to the original file, just maybe just kind of distortion in some things. Okay, but it is just to keep, it is because of the aspect that it has in the tablet and the cell phone. Okay, but it's pretty much the same and very accurate. So I hope you like the tutorial. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.